We have our last panel for the track and for the week with Chris Lovell from Game Credits. It's the world's first gaming cryptocurrency ever created. He can tell you a lot more about that. But right before he gets into that and I step off the stage, I want to thank our track sponsor, Cartridge. They are a next generation reward platform for gamers. So they take your regular gaming activities like buying games from GameStop or Steam or making donations on Twitch, and they give you points for it that then translate directly into gift cards. I've already earned a $100 gift card from this platform. Really excited what they're going to do for the future of the space. I'm going to post their link in the chat, and you can go sign up for their Discord. And then also, if you have any questions for Chris, post them in the Q&A section. It's 2 panels to the right, Q&A. That way he can easily see them and answer them for you. With that, I'll turn it over to Chris, and have a great session.
All right. Thanks for the intro, Marcus. So today we're going to talk a little bit about blockchain gaming. Pretty general view of it. We're not going to dive too deep into any technicals, but yeah, as Marcus mentioned, I'm the Chief Communications Officer at Game Credits. I want to thank him for bringing us in on this today and giving us a chance to speak. So let's, I guess, just jump right into blockchain gaming basics. Like he mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. I'll try to either address them as I go or circle back and answer them towards the end of the session here. Let me just make sure I'm actually keeping an eye on what I need to. So I guess the biggest question is, for people who don't know, what exactly is a blockchain game? Well, for those not really familiar with the concept of what a blockchain is, a blockchain in its simplest terms is just an open public ledger or database of information that anybody can see. Now, most blockchain integrated games today are something of a hybridized model. So the game itself actually still runs on a centralized server, as you would traditionally see, but those in-game assets are traded on a decentralized marketplace. In this case, those assets or those in-game items are represented by what's called an NFT, or a non-fungible token. If you're not familiar with the concept of fungibility, fungibility just means the items are identical. They can be replaced with something identical. It's like walking to a coffee shop, you buy coffee with $3, but you still have $5 in your wallet. They're just dollars. They're the same. They're interchangeable. An NFT is non-fungible, so it's actually something that is unique. It is one of one. It can't be replicated or traded for something similar because it's its own unique item. So this kind of opens up a whole new world for gaming. Many of the free-to-play games nowadays, I think Fortnite is a big example. I guess RuneScape is another for old school gamers. They kind of use this centralized transaction model to purchase in-game items, skins, really anything you can think of. Now that's to customize your character, or depending on the game, to gain a clear advantage over another player. Now that's not always the case if the game is balanced, but in some cases, some games kind of force you into that pay-to-play model. So if you're not spending money, unless you're a world champion, you're not going to have a good time, and you might not necessarily be competitive in the game. So blockchain gaming, what it does is kind of flips that model on its head. You don't pay to play, you're actually playing to earn by spending time in game. And this can be done a plethora of different ways, depending on the developer, the game, what type of game it is, how it's set up. As you're playing the game, you are actually earning items, which are represented by those NFTs, and you own them. An example of this would be, let's say you are playing a game and you did some crazy quest. It took you a very long time to get this done. It was not easy, and you earn a rare sword with a special property to it. Well, that sword is actually represented now by an ERC token. It is an NFT. It's unique. You own the sword. Let's say you put a ton of hours into this game and your life's changed a bit. Maybe you don't game as much anymore. You get older, you have more responsibilities. What this does is it actually allows you to resell that sword. Say you don't want it anymore, or you're not playing the game. You can sell it for real world currency, trade it for something. The possibilities are really endless. And say you do want to continue gaming, you're tired of this particular game that you're playing, you can take that sword you earned and trade it for an item in another game that maybe you want to start, you want to get a leg up on. Like I mentioned, it's truly endless amount of possibilities. Everything you own in the game is actually yours. So one of the some of the advantage of blockchain games, I mean, people might ask themselves why use a blockchain game? What's the point? What's the real selling point? Well, one is owning that in-game content. As a gamer myself, I don't know how many former gamers we have in here, but um, feel free to raise your hand if you game or you have formerly spent a boatload of time playing a game. I can look back on some games I've played in my life and say I put 500 to 1,000 hours in them. Well, there's really nothing to show for that. Did I enjoy the game? Absolutely. Um, but there's no return on that time that I spent. There's no real sweat equity in the game. What this does is it kind of transforms that. Now that you have that sweat equity, you are playing the game, you're actually earning something in return. So those 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 hours, however long you end up spending, actually brings you some kind of return. The work you did, you are rewarded for. And as I mentioned, you have the ability to resell those items. There are various marketplaces out there trying to do this. Um, we're actually working on one of our own marketplaces to make this possible. Let's see. Okay, Mark raised his hand. Yes. um, but another advantage is this. I mean, anyone who's played games in their life has either run into somebody that they think might have been cheating or gaming the system, or maybe they say that wasn't a fair game, that didn't turn out the way it should have. Something just wasn't quite right about that. With blockchain games, we can actually record the results of tournaments. We can record the entries, what people are using, and it can make these games and tournaments provably fair. And those match results, a use case for esports would be those match results actually get placed on the blockchain. It's publicly visible, and anybody can kind of see the results. Now, another another big advantage of blockchain games is that it kind of gives power to the players. The players themselves can help decide the direction of the game development um, by kind of voting with their items or voting with their tokens. And it also helps spur indie game development. This is an entirely new economic model. There are a lot of small games out there that may not get the attention they need, or they just don't have the funds to continue. I can tell you personally, some of the games that I play are, well, most of them are actually indie games that were made by a small studio that happened to blow up because guess what? They made something really high quality. But for a lot of games, they don't quite get that same chance. So this isn't, with this model, it's kind of like a secondary revenue stream for these games that they can continue development and help push out their own message and get themselves out there. And another thing, another piece of the blockchain gaming aspect is just collectors. I think everybody knows someone in their life that collects things. Could be mugs or stamps or something a little bit more exciting than that. But with blockchain games, you can actually collect those items. People collect just about anything. Artwork, gaming items, um, kind of gives that ability to curate and manage your own collection. Let's see. Just looking at the Q&A here. I think this is my Q&A. Any fun horror stories you can share? Do you think that blockchain gaming is going to lead to revolutions in other industries? All right. Well, what we'll do is we'll circle back on that. But really, it's like I said, one of the largest selling points is actually giving power to the players. You are not wasting your time. You are earning something. You did the work. You get to keep it, and you get to decide what's done with that. Odale actually in the last session mentioned it. Well, a lot of it was about mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is a huge part of this. Blockchain gaming is not limited to an internet or browser-based game or conventional PC game. It can be integrated into mobile as well. And as we've seen, the mobile gaming market continues to grow year over year. There's really no end in sight with how connected humans are. I know personally, maybe my phone is in my hand a little too often in the day. I think that's a problem that a lot of people have. We kind of can't set these things down, and gaming makes that even easier because you can be laying in bed, sitting on the toilet, and you can decide to start gaming. I don't know if there's any parents out there listening now, but I've heard some horror stories about people's children getting a hold of their phone. Maybe they play a mobile game, and all of a sudden you're getting a bill from Verizon for $1,000 or $2,000 purchase. With blockchain gaming, you can, at least there would be a chance to kind of return that. You'd be buying assets instead of just buying something in the game that's kind of a wash and doesn't really equate to anything. There's no way to resell it. You don't actually own those items. It's just developer property for the game. So some of the I guess some of the challenges to adoption for blockchain gaming, people say, well, why use it? Well, we went over some of the benefits. Um, some of it is just knowledge based, honestly. I mean, if you follow blockchain or know anything about blockchain, the term kind of gets crammed into everything nowadays, almost like a marketing, really truly just a marketing term. Some of that is just really user awareness about what blockchain does and what those advantages are. Um, some people think I play games now, it's fine. I don't need to do anything. I enjoy my experience. If it isn't broken, why are you guys trying to fix it? Well, like I mentioned, there are plenty of use cases. It solves the problem of user ownership, um, actually owning those items, not wasting your time putting so much effort into a game to get nothing in return. And I think I share this sentiment with a lot of my teammates at Game Credits, but I wholeheartedly believe that gaming and NFTs and actual ownership of those items are truly the key to mass blockchain adoption. I don't know that it's going to come with a blockchain bank or anything like that. Gaming is already a massive market. Looking up some statistics, I mean, it depends on where you look at your statistics, but even as of now in the year 2020, there are approximately 2.5 billion gamers on Earth, which is pretty much everyone that has access to game. So it's a very large market. It's something that can be kind of worked into these existing infrastructures, and blockchain gaming itself, I think people get the impression that, well, the game needs to be built around the blockchain for it to work or for it to have these advantages. That's just not true. Um, there are tools being built, some of the things we're working on personally at Game Credits to integrate into existing games. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's simply a value add, with a couple clicks, a little bit of integration. Any existing game in the world can become a blockchain game and actually enable that item ownership. So the current state of the world with lockdowns and everything that's going on has really pushed into telework and gaming. Services like Twitch have grown, as you see. My personal opinion is that these things are here to stay. I think the data is showing it that the growth is continuing, and game streaming is only getting larger year over year as a form of entertainment. And the really the concept of integrating blockchain with gaming is a no-brainer. Gamers would be the one group of people that are most familiar with tokenization. Most games already have this. Like I mentioned earlier, RuneScape. There are secondary markets, while they may be illegal or not to the developers. People can go online and use fiat currency, such as the US dollar, to buy in-game currency. So a lot of gamers are already familiar with the concept. Um, and there's an entirely new generation. As gaming grows, Gen Z has really grown up with a phone in their hand. There's technology. There's so much technology out there. It's kind of inescapable for the children of today. They grew up learning this. I can't say that's the case for myself. I was born in a unique time where I got to watch this technology grow up. as a child, I still played outside and did all of those things, but starting from the very basics. Um, my family's first computer was kind of just a word processor, DOS based kind of thing, and you kind of get to see the evolution of all this, and it's really become ingrained with the human psyche, the technical aspect of kind of always having a phone in your hand, always being exposed to that, watching television. Um, so that is the really the trend. Whether some people agree with it or not, technology is here to stay. The use of cell phones and gaming consoles and games is only going to become more pervasive. Let's see. Before I continue here, let's get to some of these Q&A questions. Let's see. All right. So, do you think that blockchain gaming is going to lead to revolutions in other industries? Well, that's actually a great question. I think the blockchain revolution, as it stands now, is kind of leading to revolutions in plenty of different industries. But again, the problem is really mass adoption. Why use this technology? Personally, I think gaming provides the best use case for that because, as I just mentioned, Gen Z is so ingrained with technology. I don't know anyone personally. I don't have any children myself, but I don't know anyone personally who doesn't have a child that doesn't play video games. Apart from some people that may consider themselves Luddites, but it's it's something that's only going to keep growing. So I think gaming is really that first step because we have such a large user base. There's such a large audience, and an entire generation is growing up and learning things through gaming and through technology. That's all they've ever known. Where do we go to learn more? Any online groups, communities, influencers, or newsletters to follow? Yes. Well, there are really a million resources out there. If you wanted to learn particularly about what we're working on, I don't want to go too deep into it as a sales pitch, but just visit gamecredits.org. Kind of gives an overview of our entire platform and how we're working to solve these adoption issues and bring blockchain gaming to mainstream. And one of the ways we're trying to do that is not that blockchain is not featured. Obviously, that's at the core of what we're doing, but we're not forcing that message of blockchain gaming upon people. You could be playing a game that is blockchain integrated and not know it until a certain time. Maybe you're playing a game for a while. Now we're working on expanding our partner base, but say you're playing a game for a while and you're enjoying it, you are leveling up, earning rewards in the game only, or so you think. And then at some point you're playing, you get a tap on the shoulder that says, hey, by the way, did you know all those missions you completed and these items are actually yours? You own them. All you need to do is connect this to a wallet and you actually own those assets. By the way, here's a marketplace. You can go here, trade them, sell them, get a custom skin for an item you want to use, etc. So it's really an approach of not shoving the message of blockchain down people's throats or not marketing it. It's not a flashy marketing term. It's something really useful, and people should take a look at it. And if we can slip that into games in such a way that people don't know it's happening, and then they find, hey, we got all these great rewards, we can use them. I think that's one of the best ways to actually garner adoption and new users. So how would something like Halo Infinite make use of something like blockchain gaming, even though we don't know what it's going to be like since it has been? That's a good question. I can't really speak on Halo Infinite personally. I played the original Halo, maybe a few too many times all the way through, but it really depends. I mean, it's some of these games controlled by larger studios may take their own direction. What we're trying to do is build this out as an outlet for indie gamers and indie developers to really have a voice and grow their user base. So not that not that we wouldn't want to apply these same things to larger games or game studios, but it's definitely something we're working on. But for instance, as I was mentioning, if you own those in-game items, it would apply the same to Halo as it would any game. Any type of custom skin or item that you get is yours. You own it. And with blockchain gaming, it also, if a developer is on board with it, what they can do is actually create their own custom NFTs. So you might see a game where, okay, the layout's basic. We know we get these. We'll just go with Halo 1 as an example because the question references Halo. You have your battle rifle and your uh, spike gun. I forget what that's called exactly, but there's really only so much to it. So by integrating with blockchain, that actually gives developers an outlet to say, well, guess what? Now we're going to put some cool custom things in the game. Let's make a unique battle rifle skin. We're going to issue 5,000 of them and never any more than 5,000. And then we can award those to players that have achieved a certain milestone, or we can actually put them up for sale in the marketplace. Users can use the native token on the marketplace to buy that, such as game credits or US dollars to buy the actual game, even if you're, or to buy the actual item. Even if you're paying with US dollars, you're still owning that in-game content. You own that item, you own that skin. If somebody else wants it, they have to buy it from you. It's your choice whether to sell it or trade it or keep it for yourself. But that actually leads to item scarcity in games, which could increase the value of some of these items. And like I said, the 5,000 figure I threw out there was just a number, but the possibilities are really endless because it allows developers to create these items based on demand and kind of generate that entire secondary market where they can be making revenue on the transactions. So let's before I keep rambling here, let's keep powering through these Q&As. So are corporations or brands collaborating with games to use the blockchain as a way to give out gifts? If not, sell branded items in novel ways in games. I'm just rereading that. um, actively, that's a good question. They can be. I don't know. Now I'd have to do some research on my own. I don't know of any large game studios that we could use as an example in that instance, but that is kind of what I was speaking to with the last question. Like I said, say Halo became a blockchain game, which it would be awesome. Nobody's going to deny that, but um, as I mentioned, they can send gifts. It doesn't even necessarily need to be an in-game item. It could be a Halo, a special badge. I'm one of the first 10,000 people to complete the game in this on this difficulty level. Here's a special trophy or a token of appreciation that can be tokenized into an NFT and then sold or kept. And really, value is controlled by scarcity and desire, just like anything else, any other collector market or any other utility that someone would want to purchase. So I guess I can't answer the question entirely because I don't know of any really big examples at the moment, but it's certainly a possibility and something we'd like to do and work with people on. So who are the leading players or companies, people working in blockchain gaming today? Well, I'd like to say game credits. We are working on it, and we do have some competitors in the space. Engine is one of them. Wax is another, and all of these companies are kind of taking their own unique approach to bringing blockchain to gaming. I guess I can't really give a good example other than just kind of sitting here and talking about what the game credits platform does. But maybe I'll circle back to that at the end here once we've answered these questions, and I can kind of share my screen and just give people a brief overview of our platform and exactly what we're trying to do to bring this to mass adoption. So just okay, here we go. Our formal schooling programs, college classes, degrees, and certificates doing a good enough job in talking about crypto, blockchain, and gaming, or is higher education failing this new industry? That is a great question. Um, I can't speak to traditional universities for the most part because I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. As of right now, obviously blockchain's kind of exploding and growing, but a lot of the players in this space are kind of self-taught from the old days of blockchain. Now, one of the things we are working on at Game Credits is some education-based initiatives um, to actually foster blockchain game development and those young developers and actually get them working on it and see the possibilities. I will show you once we circle back to the website, show you an article related to that. But we've kind of done a little bit of an airdrop to students, or we will be doing an airdrop to kind of foster that conversation and see the power that holding these tokens gives them and what they can do with them in game. So let's I guess I'll move on to the next one here. Any fun any fun stories, horror stories you can share? We've all heard about that guy who lost. Uh yeah. I have a few of my own. But being in the blockchain space, I think if you are not necessarily gaming related, well, I do have a story on that, but anybody that's been in the blockchain space for a long time may probably has some kind of horror story or story of regret. I don't like to think of it as regret at this point. You kind of grow past that. You kind of have to grow past any missed opportunities you've had. But I do know the exact story you're talking about. I don't know if that guy ever found it. I know he spent a boatload of money trying to excavate the landfill and find that hard drive, but I've never seen an update. But I mean, at face value, if the question is, have I ever spent 10,000 bitcoins on a pizza? The answer is no. I wish I had the problem of owning 10,000 bitcoins, but maybe we'll get there someday. So Q&A, what is Game Credits trying to do, change in the world? I see it on your hat. Yes, so I have quite the setup here. One of the things I want to work on is actually getting a little bit of a better camera, so these look a little nicer. But I will actually show you here if we can hold on for just a moment. Okay, there we go. So now you can kind of take a look at our site. So as I spoke to earlier in this talk, it's really about bringing power to gamers and both game developers. It's truly endless options. The ownership of items. Let's take a look at our technology stack here, so you can kind of see the different facets of the Game Credits platform. But just a brief overview here. So basically what we're building is a platform that can plug into any existing game. It's really, for developers, it's just a few clicks to actually integrate this. Now, to offer certain rewards and everything, there's a little more involved in that, but to actually integrate the tools that we're building, it's really just a couple simple clicks for developers. And these are the four main pieces of our platform. So Game Mint is the first one. I don't want to speak to a launch date, but this is coming very soon as a soft date, probably in the next 8 weeks. This feature should be completed. But the Game Mint will actually be called the Game Foundry. And what this does is this is a tool for developers to create custom NFTs for their games. So as I was speaking to before, if you wanted to make a custom skin, or say the game is like a space exploration based game, we want to make a certain series of limited ships that someone can buy. Using that tool, the tool kind of wraps it all together and lets you bring the artwork, the properties of the item, and actually tokenize that, and then that becomes something tradable and usable in game. The game rewards portal is our really our biggest piece right now. That is actually released. We're always working to improve it, But one of the major draws of this will be that if you take your game credits and we have a partner game on our portal, you can stake your game credits on the game, um, and then actually earn in-game rewards with the partners that will be participating in creating those NFTs. So by staking your game credits, you're basically locking them up on the game you want to support, and the developer gets a share of game credits that are paid out weekly. Right now, that's 100,000 game credits split proportionally on the portal, and then split 50-50 between the users who are supporting those developers and the game developer themselves. But like I mentioned, as that kind of grows and we have partners actually utilizing these tools, and as the Game Foundry is released, we'll be able to you'll actually be able to receive those rewards in game and use them or trade them. Now the game tournament, same deal there. I think I spoke to that a little bit. Provably fair tournament organizers, and it's actually an entire system to release tournament prizes. One of the things you can do with that is just for participating in a tournament, custom NFTs can be made that are handed out to all participants, and then trophies for first, second, or third place. It really depends on the tournament and how it's scored, but all the results and the matchups actually get recorded on the blockchain. So there's no, well, this was rigged, I don't know why these guys played each other. It can be provably fair, provably generated tournaments and matchups. And then the game exchange is the big piece, which kind of ties this all together. That will be our own marketplace where you can buy, sell, trade actual NFTs and in-game items that our partners are creating. So that really gives all four pieces of the platform here, kind of give the power to the players and the developers. And it's just, I guess to put it simply, if you're already spending time playing these games, why not get something back in return? We see with Twitch, a lot of streamers actually make their living off of Twitch. Some streamers are startup streamers; they just want to get to that point. But this whole economic model. I mean, people could be making a living playing games, but not necessarily having to put themselves out there, stream on camera, share their personal life, anything they want to do. But they're actually able to earn by spending their time doing something they love. Now, let's see if there's. You can read our white paper on the website. I'm not going to get into all of this. I don't want to sit here and read a bunch of text to you because I don't think anybody is going to enjoy that. But if you visit the site, the white paper really breaks down in detail exactly how the platform works and what the model is. Looking to see if there's anything else relevant on the site here I want to share right now. But just speaking to blockchain gaming as a whole, and this depends on the knowledge level of the people watching, but one of the hurdles is the cost of these transactions. If anyone's familiar with Ethereum, there is a little bit of a congestion problem on the Ethereum network right now. Now that is supposed to be solved with Ethereum 2.0, but we're not quite sure. We won't know until we see it. So side chains are crucial to doing this the right way. Nobody is going to want to sell a skin or an in-game item, say that item, it might have a meager value of $1, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that as a collectible. But if you're going to transact that and the transaction fee actually ends up costing you more than the item's worth, it's just not something sustainable. Nobody's going to want to move those items. So we are working with Scale, a side chain, to really improve that process. It's a whole nother layer for transacting these NFTs, which will kind of reduce the fees and allow people to actually move these items quickly and efficiently and at very low cost. Because as I mentioned, with the current state of the Ethereum network, if you were to transfer something, sometimes it costs you more than the transaction's even worth, and that's just not a sustainable model at all. Nobody wants to pay $2 to send 50 cents of value to someone. It just doesn't make sense. So Yeah, I mean, I definitely encourage people to check out the site. It's, I think you might learn a lot about what we're working on just by reading over that white paper, as opposed to me sitting here and talking about it. But one of the things I did want to mention is that one of the biggest challenges here is actually getting that on-off ramp to people. You know, how do we get involved? How do we get started in blockchain? And that's something we're actively working to address. Um, for crypto enthusiasts here, I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone in your life that has no idea what blockchain is or what to do with it. Um, Say, hey, maybe they wanted to get involved or invest in something like Ethereum or whatever coin, but they have no idea how to start. Um, with blockchain gaming, this to get to get money in, the actual fiat on and off ramps is something we're working on improving. But it kind of gives an entirely new entry point to crypto for people that don't know anything about it, particularly gamers, because they can be earning these assets and actually earning these tokens without having to set up a bank account or a PayPal or anything like that and connecting it. Just by playing the game, they are earning something um, that has value, either tangible, value that they can actually sell it for, or just collector's value to them as a gamer. So that is, I think that is about all I have to share here, other than, like I said, there are kind of a ton of resources on our site. We do have a news section. You can kind of read about some gaming advancements in the space. We're working to buff that news section up a little bit and get more in there, but our monthly development updates are in there as well. Let's just gonna review the chat here. Yep. Yeah, so exactly. It's kind of a hybrid. He said, likewise, I was outside a lot as a child, though when N64 came out, that's when I really got into gaming, of the 3D development that gaming has become. Yeah, personally, like I mentioned, same deal. Grew up outside. Not to say I didn't game a lot, but I still had that, I guess you could call it traditional at this point, childhood experience. But the kids of today, they just don't spend as much time outside. So it's really a natural fit. And you are absolutely correct. I can remember seeing things years ago that would have been mind-blowing graphics, and I look at them now and headache-inducing just looking at some of the stuff. Great for nostalgia, but doesn't do much for the eyes these days. Die-hard fan of Halo universe. Thank you, Mark. Yes. Unlock weapon and armor skin. Yeah, so the Mountain Dew, that actually reminds me, that's a very good point. I used to play Call of Duty. I don't anymore. I know a lot of people still play that. That's obviously a huge game, but it's really the same concept. That's just in a centralized model. I can remember buying, I think, Black Ops 2 or Modern Warfare 2. You go to the store, pick up the game, and you grab a couple bottles of Mountain Dew on the way out. Under the cap, you have a code to get experience. Like here's a 200% experience boost for an hour, or here's a custom skin. It's really the same model, but a decentralized type of model, and you'd actually be owning that. So you went under the cap, you went online, you redeemed your code for a 200% experience boost. Well, guess what? That could be tokenized. You can say, well, I don't want to use the 200% experience boost. I don't need it. I'm good enough. Let me sell it to someone, or I'll trade it for something else. I can trade that for a different gun. Um, like I said, the possibilities are truly endless, but a lot of this does depend on the developer cooperating and actually embracing the model, and that's something we're trying to crack into. Yes, exactly. So that, thank you for mentioning that, Paul. Yeah, it's like I said, it's really a whole model. Some people, I know people personally who want to break into streaming. One of my very good friends is actually an electrician by trade. He plays games quite a lot, but he would like to get into streaming to try to either, make some revenue on it. But maybe some people don't want to share their face. They just don't want to get on camera. What this allows is you don't have to do any of that. You could be a hermit. I don't think, I'm not promoting that in any sense, but truly you could sit there and play games and the rewards you're earning could become a revenue source for you. Um, no, that's true. They do not hold up as they once did. Although I will say, for the gaming enthusiasts out there, I recently played Diablo 2 for the nostalgia. It was fun for a few hours, but I had to cut it off and get back to work after that. So, um, yeah, I agree with you, Mark. That's something we're working on, and it's just about selling that message to some of these developers and bringing them in and kind of getting them to see the light. Hey, Marcus.
You're having a great conversation. I wanted to hear your thoughts really quickly about using cryptocurrency in events, right? Because you have NFTs, they can take on properties, right? Just like you have crypto kitties, each of them have different properties. What about using NFTs at an event so that each engagement or a collection of engagements you have at an event adds a different property to the NFT, right? So instead of just getting like a nylon or some kind of stitched badge for your attendance, you have this digital collectible where two people can attend the exact same event and get an NFT for that event, but each of those two NFTs are completely different because of their engagement at the event.
Right. So that's actually a good point. That's something we're working on. So the actual that kind of got lost in my rambling a little bit, but the progression of NFTs, actually being able to level up certain items, is something we're working on. And then um, by that concept, they could increase in value or scarcity depending on what that NFT is. Some of it might be, like you mentioned, for attending so many events. Another may be for total play time or playthrough or achieving this or that. Those NFTs can actually have transformative properties. They're not, while they are unique, they're not static. It's not always the same thing. So you can actually increase the value sort of the same way you do character development in a game by leveling up and changing those characteristics. We're working on making NFTs that can do that as well, by virtue of using them or completing a specific task. Those properties can actually be changed, or those trading cards could actually be changed in the sense of a trading card game. They can level up with you as you use them, and the same goes for events, as you mentioned. It's another use for NFTs. Event access, using NFTs as event tickets to get in. That's one way to purchase NFTs, or getting NFT rewards for attending an event. The same thing you mentioned. They don't have to level up; they can be static. But there's just it's hard to go about it all. There's so many different layers. Just trying to collect my thoughts on exactly how to express that. But
That just means the sky's the limit, right? So much
yeah,
opportunity.
exactly. That's one of the challenges when talking about this. I mean, I could probably sit here for 24 hours straight and just talk about all the possible use cases. But I think just mentioning some of these use cases should be enough for people to go take a look and start to get excited about this. Unless you are just someone who you just hate games for some reason. Well, I don't know why you're here then, but there's not many of you out there. So, but yeah, I think that's all I really have to share, guys, for now. I definitely recommend going to our site and checking out the white paper. You get a very in-depth technical understanding of what we're trying to do. And yeah, thank you, Paul, as well. I see that. So I
Thanks for
guess we'll. Sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
I was thanking Paul for the link too. He's on it.
Yeah, he's all about it there. So I guess we'll call it at that, guys. I appreciate everyone who showed up and watched and listened to my rambling. As you said, Marcus, the sky's the limit. So get out there and just start learning. Check out our website, and I think with a little bit of reading, you'll see all these potential use cases come to light. And you, even as not you, Marcus, but the viewers, as maybe even a light gamer, you'll see these use cases come to light and just start to get excited about it. There's truly no reason not to be getting excited about these type of things. So
Thank you for sharing your insight, and for everyone who's in the room now and watching later. We do have a local blockchain innovation hub, if you will, Block Spaces, based right here in Tampa Bay. That I ironically, actually, I think that was Wednesday, was part of a STEAM conversation with Junior Achievement. So Myself and this lady Rosa Shores and two other folks from the gaming industry were talking about the STEAM career opportunities in gaming, esports, and blockchain. So she and her group are a great resource for anyone trying to learn more about that. And we continue to have collaborative conversations around the intersection of blockchain and gaming. And obviously Game Credits continue to bring you into that conversation because we'd love to have you all more involved in this area.
Yes, and thank you for that, by the way. Glad to be here.